It was owned really by the lord of the manor, although other people had the right to use it. They were known as the commoners. But you had to own 12 acres of land to become a commoner. So it wasn't literally for the common people, it was people who owned the land in common with the lord of the manor. And they had special rights about cutting trees, gathering firewood, digging soil for gravel and for clay, a whole range of different rights that they had. The trouble was, no one looked after it. It was just a neglected piece of wasteland. And it was in 1864 that the fifth Earl Spencer wanted to enclose it as a private park. He was going to sell off Putney Heath as building land and built himself a new manor house just south of the windmill. And some people thought this was a good idea because the ground would be looked after, but then they realised it's probably going to be fenced in and they'd lose the use of it. And so a lot of commons were being lost at that time. And Sir Henry Peake, who was MP for East Surrey and who lived in Wimbledon, set up an organisation to try and fight this plan. And it took 7 years, but eventually they won, and an Act of Parliament was passed in 1871, handing over the commons to local residents who were living within 3/4 of a mile or within the old parish of Putney. At the same time, the common was being used as a rifle range. National Rifle Association, Spencer, had offered the common for use for the annual tournaments, and it was an international competition before it moved to Bisley. It moved to Bisley in 1890 following an incident where someone was shot in Putney graveyard by a ricochet. I don't think that was the real reason. They were already planning to move it, but they then moved to Bisley.